There will be spoilers ahead. Lots of spoilers, so be careful, won't you?
Hello, Mike Luce, podcasting chairman, damn glad to meet you. I would like to personally welcome you to Gamma House, the international podcasting fraternity. We welcome most anyone to our little Hellenistic group. Here, we take the Greek life very seriously, putting feta cheese and olives on most everything and trying to maintain the very ideals we learned from all the ancient Greeks who went to college. But before we have you assume the position, there's a few rules we have to get out of the way. First, you must take a new name. You there, the recruit with the tinfoil hat. From now on, your name is Peaches. Second, in all things, you will keep our most cherished bylaw closest to your heart. Don't get mad, get even! And lastly, you will keep the art of cinema, water it, tend it, and harvest it when it is most ripe. But above all, you will keep the openings of your podcast short and Max Mike movies. That's right, ideas, we're out of them. Both me, the Mike Luce mentioned earlier, and the Dean Wormer of our hearts, Max Eat Me Levine. What's with all this nonsensical nonsense? It's because this week, as part of Quotes, Unquotes, and Quotes, a series about quotable movies, we're taking a look back at Animal House. Remember that one? Well, we did, and soon so will you. Before that, however, we have this brief aside.
Poll question.
We asked, you gave. In our last episode, we queried, who is your favorite cinematic dream team?
Queried.
You're queried.
You're queried.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
These, according to you, dear listeners, be they. Dave Mackman, joker that he is,
Dave.
posted, quote, I always wanted Dolly Parton and the Ramones to make a musical version of The Three Musketeers, end quote.
I would watch the hell out of that movie. See, I want to see Dolly Parton as Cardinal Richelieu. Seriously, that'd be awesome.
Would she fit in the cassock? Anyway, that is a dream indeed, a very odd dream. But thank you, Dave. A.J. Sheems is up next with his response, quote, love this one, actor-director Paul Thomas Anderson and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh.
Honorable mention, De Niro and Scorsese.
No, sure.
For actor and actor, I gotta go with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck combo.
Matt Damon!
Matt Damon! You know, I'm, never mind.
Yeah.
They do make the cutest couple, don't they?
You're adorable.
Thanks, AJ. Adam Mark, as always, had a lot of good stuff to post. Quote, the ultimate pairing is The Godfather, 1972, director Francis Ford Coppola, writer screenplay Mario Puzo, and the best ensemble ever assembled. Brando, Pacino, Conn, Duvall, Lane, Cazale, Castellano, etc. If this film isn't an argument for the creation of an Oscar for best ensemble cast, I don't know what is.
Ooh, that'd be a good category.
It would be. Who would get to take it home, though?
They all get one. It's the same with the Best Picture.
Oh, yeah. The Academy really wants to make more of those statues. Anyway, Adam continues. Cinema approached with capable hands, deep belief in the material, and respect for and faith in the audience. Whenever I see the film, I get a hankering to throw my entire life away, pack up the car, and move to Hollywood, and become a writer, as only the best cinema can inspire. A pairing I would have loved to see would be the director Alfred Hitchcock and actor James Dean. Oh, that's really interesting.
That would be something.
Yeah. Dean, of course, infamously and tragically died young in an automobile accident in 1955. Hitchcock, respectively, was active until his death in 1980. I think Dean's captivating angst and cerebral approach to acting would have gelled well with Hitchcock's love of suspense and intrigue. It's a shame the two never got to work together, end quote. As always, thanks, Adam.
Yeah, wow.
That is a dream team indeed. I would like to have
Seriously.
seen that. Kelly Cooper wrote, quote, Keanu Reeves and his stunt crew.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. I like that.
I've heard that the John Wick movies came about because he wanted to work with his Matrix stunt team again, end quote. He does sound like a really nice guy, which is driving me insane. Yeah, but about that role in Much Ado About Nothing, anyway.
Whoa, forsooth.
Whoa, my mustache smells. Anyway, thanks, Kelly. Val Coons, director extraordinaire of the Q Footsteps podcast.
That's right.
From which we get a hefty payment, offered, quote, Bogey and Bacall. The Zucker brothers, most but not all of the time. Mel Brooks and his regulars, Gene Wilder, Madeline Kahn, Kenneth Mars, etc. And the group headed by Christopher Guest that brought us Spinal Tap, A Mighty Win, et al. End quote. I never saw
Who's
et
Al?
al. Did you?
No, but I heard someone et al. Yeah.
Is that et Weird Al? I don't know. Thanks, Val, and send that check, would you? Just kidding, of course. Charles Forsythe was next up with, quote, Peter Weller and Judy Davis played a different couple in 2 different 90s films, and they were awesome. One reviewer dubbed them the Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn of dysfunctional couples, end quote.
Peter Weller, really?
Sadly, they never appeared together in another film. Also, he says, Chow Yun-fat and Tony Leung.
Oh, there you
end
go.
Quote. Good calls all, thank you, Charles. I would actually go with Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh, but that's just me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Penguin hunter Vince, writing from atop his hunting walrus, Sophie, sent us a telegram from all the way up snow. On the website, he wrote, quote, I love me a team of Werner Herzog and Klaus Kinski.
Oh, cheery.
Destructive and contentious as they were, they made some amazing and intense films over the years. I'm going to mispronounce this. Agir, The Wrath of God. Nosferatu, Cobra Verde, and others have held up no matter how many times I've seen them. End quote. I don't know them, but I'll take those as recommendations, and thank you, Vince. And, oh yes. Because, you know. What about you, Max?
Good luck hunting the mighty walrus.
No, he hunts penguins.
Penguins, sorry, the mighty penguins.
Atop the mighty walrus.
Atop the mighty walrus?
Yes,
Fair
atop,
enough.
yeah. But what about you, Max? This was your question, so spit it out. Confess!
Never. Actually, one of my favorites is Jackie Chan and Michelle Yeoh.
I don't know if I've seen them in anything.
Police Story 3, Super Cop.
Okay.
And they've been in a couple of others, and they are awesome together.
I mean, quite honestly, Michelle Yeoh with anybody.
She really is. Other than that, I got to go with Val's thing with whatever, I don't know even what you would call it, but it's the ensemble cast that's in all of those Christopher Guest movies.
Okay.
Yeah, like A Mighty Wind, Best in Show, For Your Consideration.
Sure.
They're all terrific, and they just all work so well together.
Neat.
And besides, you know, it gives Fred Willard something to do.
Or did.
Yeah.
Oh, is he still around? I don't know.
He may still be alive. I don't know if he's still around.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. And what about you, Mike? Who's your favorite dream team, super group?
My dream team is a weird one in that they only made one movie really together, and as far as I know, they only appeared together in one other film, and that is John Cusack and Tim Robbins.
Oh,
I really like them in Tapeheads.
Yeah,
and they
actually worked. Yeah, they did. They worked really well together.
They did, and they appear together in High Fidelity. But
they're together in one scene.
Yes, and John Cusack beats Tim Robbins with an air conditioner,
which is worth the price of admission, quite honestly.
And we didn't get to see enough of them. I suppose that's not a huge dream team. I just really like them. There's a lot of obvious people here, but and Scorsese and De Niro certainly was good. A lot better than Scorsese and we'll just stop right there.
Leo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Take a little drink to get rid of that, Max?
Stuck in my throat.
Yeah, Leo. That's all well and good, but to stem the tide of encroaching alien spaceships, we're going to need another answer.
What?
Yeah.
What spaceships? What?
Hey, I was up late. What do you want?
Okay.
Besides, I'm in your house. This time, we have got to know...
Oh, yes.
Who is the actor that you think we lost way too soon? Someone who you felt just started to reach their stride when we suddenly lost them. Let us know on most of these same channels. But now, we need to get to...
The facts.
Budget. $2.5 million, which is why it was filmed entirely, well, nearly entirely, on the campus of the University of Oregon. Just guess.
141 million.
You can see my notes.
Yes, that is exactly right.
You big fibber. Don't look at my notes. Though to be fair, it is reported that $4.5 million was spent on advertising and marketing, so it's not as big of a take as you think.
Oh, no, not at all.
It's not a surprise, but John Belushi did a lot of improvising, such as the entire cafeteria scene, including the I'm a Zit routine.
Okay.
Dwayne Jesse, who plays Otis Day, liked his character so much that he changed his name to Otis Day, toured and recorded a record as Otis Day with the Knights.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a cool name.
The Donald Sutherland thing. Ah, no faith. Poor Donald. Thinking the movie would bomb, he took an upfront payment of $75,000 instead of the offered points. Had he stuck with the points, they'd eventually have been worth between $3 and $4 million.
The thing I wanted to add is allegedly, once the movie was a huge hit, every year John Landis would call Donald Sutherland on the phone and say, "Hey, Don, guess how much you would have made by now if you had taken the points?" And Sutherland was like, "John, leave me alone."
Oh, John Landis, everyone's favorite to write. Well, we'll get back to him in just a bit. Belushi was a bit of a workaholic. Animal House during the week and flights back to New York City on the weekends to appear on Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Pity he only made $40K on this film. At first, yeah, he took points.
Smart.
Can I have 10,000 marbles, please, honey? Stephen First, who plays Flounder, buys the marbles from his wife. First-timers Kevin Bacon, lead of the game bearing his name, and Karen Allen debut in this film. They'll go on to do some other things here and there. Stop looking at my notes.
No.
Speaking of Kevin Bacon...
I'm looking at your notes.
Stop it! Get on your side of the couch. Speaking of Kevin Bacon, I guess it was all downhill from here as he considers this his favorite of the films he's made.
He's got like 4 lines.
He apparently had a good time.
Okay.
I don't know. Who would have thought Dean Wormer was originally aimed at Jack Webb, but he felt the movie would be bad for his image, which at this time was, exactly?
Did he have, this is 1978, did he have an image anymore?
I don't know. Yeah, so Jack Webb, yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that would have worked. I think
No, but it's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
This movie did spawn a TV show.
Yes, it did.
Blink and you missed it. Delta House came and went with little fanfare. It lasted 12 episodes.
I remember watching that show.
Why?
Because, first of all, they got like 4 members of the original cast, not John Belushi. John Blutarski's brother, Blotto, shows up instead of Bluto.
Was it Jim Belushi?
I don't know who it was, but I remember watching it because it starred Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh.
As a character called simply the Bombshell. I don't remember if she had any lines. They mostly spent a lot of time putting her in very short shorts, and that's why I watched it.
Well, I see they carried the sexism. Oh, yeah, getting back to that. John Landis described Belushi's character Bluto as a cross between Harpo Marx and the Cookie Monster.
That actually works. Yeah. That actually works pretty well.
Yeah. Niedermeyer, everyone's favorite character, is listed at the end of the film as having been, quote, killed in Vietnam by his own troops, end quote. Yeah. Director John Landis included in his infamous section of the Twilight Zone movie a scene where a couple of soldiers are talking about that very killing.
Yep.
Yeah, if you want to read a very tragic story about Hollywood, look up John Landis and the Twilight Zone.
Vic Morrow.
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Lots and lots more trivia exists about this perennial favorite, but we got a show to do. Unless, Max, you must.
I got one other thing at least. The guy who plays Niedermeyer shows up. His other famous role is in the Twisted Sister video.
Oh, that's right.
We're Not Gonna Take It, as the dad.
Otherwise known as Niedermeyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Dee Snider, thank you for continuing the Niedermeyer saga. But we have a show to do, and I got a story to tell for those who haven't seen it.
Hit it.
And it goes a little, and I do mean a little, like this. It's 1962, and a couple of young swells are entering college somewhere in the United States. What are they to do but pledge to all the best fraternities on campus? Thing is, our heroes are, shall we say, losers. The only house to take them is Delta House, well known as the worst house ever. Instantly accepted, they are welcomed into a life of non-stop parties, debauchery, and getting even. The big problem is Dean Wormer, who, for some reason, wants to run a legitimate school with a nice, clean frats like Omega House. Working together, they have Delta House in their sights, and soon, nothing will keep them from removing that blight from their collegiate life forever. Or is it? Watch Otter, Flounder, Pinto, Boone, Stork, Bluto, D-Day, and the rest of the zany crew as they bring Faber University and its unnamed town to its knees. There are laughs galore, 2 Fs, wild capers, and loony adventures in this realistic send-up of collegiate living. Oh, and John Belushi.
The film.
So, the usual question, Max.
Yeah.
Did you see this when it came out?
I honestly can't remember because, to be fair, movie was rated R.
Yes.
I don't think I was legally allowed to see it when it came out.
Oh, of course you were. With
an adult,
That's
sure,
right.
but I don't think I did not want to ask my parents to take me to this just from watching the previews. I know I saw it when I was in high school, so I don't think I must have seen it at a second run. I don't think I saw it in '78. What about you?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
Oh.
I did see when it came out.
Oh, how did you manage that?
My mom took me.
Oh, awkward.
To this day, I was 13 when this came out. I have no idea why my mother thought it was a good idea to take me to an
It looked like
R-rated
a wacky
film.
comedy.
Well, now here's the thing. I grew up in the Northeast, as did you. And our local PBS station ran nearly first run. I would say they were probably about a year off. They ran Monty Python.
Yep.
And in Monty Python, occasionally, there would be a large-breasted typist in the background.
Yep.
And that was just a thing. Like, it was not considered a big deal then. I'm willing
They
to
actually
bet...
had nudity.
Yep, and I'm willing to bet they couldn't do it now, because we've come so far.
Yeah.
So, in a way, because that's really besides some swearing, that's really all you see.
Yeah.
I admit that I can remember seeing some things I didn't understand at the time, like, why did all that tissue pop out of that nice lady's bra? I don't understand. Yeah, but I did see it I even remember the theater we saw it in. We saw it at the Burlington. Yes.
I think, in fact, just thinking of the R rating, isn't there only one use of the F-bomb?
I think so. The rest of it's other words, but
Which
not.
is, again, one of the quotes. You
Yeah,
effed up. You trusted us.
yeah, that's actually not one of them. We'll get to the quotes later. But yes, I did see this in the theater. And I remember thinking it was funny and confusing. You know,
When you were 13.
that's my manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, of course, a film of its time. And as such, it stars actors
Yes.
of the time.
Many.
Would we like to do the actors?
Sure, let's do the actors.
Let's leave the big one for last.
Okay.
Karen Allen.
Yeah. She doesn't get a whole lot to do. The women in this movie don't get a lot to do. She's the closest one to actually being a character.
I want to say that most of the characters, male and female, don't get a lot to do in this film.
This isn't a character study.
No.
I mean, this is a wacky, silly comedy.
That being said,
Yeah.
there are guys who get a lot more screen time
Yeah.
and more lines. But to be fair, we really don't know anything about anybody except Flounder. His brother went to this college and was a Delta pledge.
This, was originally a story written up in National Lampoon, the magazine,
Oh.
because they also explain in the story why Lawrence is called Pinto.
Yeah, there was apparently a deleted scene.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid trying to figure it out and having... The weird thing is I thought, it couldn't be that, could it? And it turns out, yes, it could be that.
A
Although,
certain part of his anatomy has spots.
yes,
Literal spots.
his appendix.
Yes, and I'm sure that too. But
Because as you all know, all horses have spotted appendices.
yes.
Yeah. Karen Allen, she's fine. We will see a little bit more of her a few years later in some treasure hunting film.
One of those like King Solomon's Mines or some nonsense.
Yeah, with Richard Chamberlain.
Yep,
Yeah, she's
yep.
in that.
Sure.
Whew, boy, I'm sorry, I saw that. Tom Hulse.
Is it Hulse or Hulse? Or
As far as I know, it's Hulse.
Okay. Who we would know later as, Amadeus himself.
Amadeus.
You're a deus.
Yeah, and in this one, he plays the strangely faced young man coming to try and make his way in.
Yeah, he's he is of the two with him and Stephen First, the wimp and a blimp. He is the wimp.
Yeah. And he's fine.
Yeah, he does
I
a
guess.
decent job. He's
moist.
There is something about him that you just think he needs a towel all the time, but he's also fairly likable.
Yeah. I mean, at least at the very least, there's a scene where he could take advantage of a young lady who, as it turns out, is a good deal younger than...
We'll get to that. That's... Yeah. that under the section of how well did this age.
And there's a weird little devil angel on his shoulders sequence that
It's a very odd sequence.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
Stephen First, who plays Kent Dorfman, otherwise known as Flounder. I want to say in this film, he is second to John Belushi for physical comedy. He does some great elastic things with his face.
He has great expressions. I always liked him. He was good on Chicago Hope. I liked him in Babylon 5.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
He was Via Kodo. Yep.
Can I have 10,000 Frühstück here, please? Mark Metcalf as Doug Niedermeyer. Yep, I hated him.
Yeah, he is a character. I mean, he does it really well. He's absolutely loathsome pretty much from the first words out of his mouth, even when he's sort of putting on the fake politeness.
Yeah, that being said, really no depth at all.
No, he's a cartoon villain. There's a lot of these characters are very cartoony. This movie is very cartoony. We'll get to that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're almost to the and the rest. We have Mary Louise Weller, who played Mandy Pepperidge. She's fine. Martha Smith is Babs.
Peter Riegert is Boone.
Yeah, and here's the thing. To me, he felt like somebody who was about to become somebody and never
We never get there.
He showed up in another movie, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, for one thing, he was in The Mask. He's
that's
the
what it
cop.
was.
He's
That's
the one
right.
who's following around Stanley Ipkiss.
But he felt like one of those actors, you're going to be seeing a lot of him, and then you kind of don't.
And of course, there's James Widows as Hoover.
Right.
Who I believe the only other thing I remember him from was Charles in Charge. I think he's the dad. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
And, a bunch of other people who are there in the background.
But then we got a couple of the biggies.
Well, a couple. Like who?
Well, we got Donald Sutherland.
Oh, yeah.
Who I remember watching this and going, wait, even I know Donald Sutherland is someone. What is he doing here?
Taking the wrong payout. That's what he's doing here.
Making a bad financial decision.
And that's why he had to make Moonfall.
Yes, the movie where you can't pay me enough to stand up.
Do not see our entire episode on Moonfall.
See our episode, don't see the movie.
Well, there is that.
Yeah.
Yes, and the funny thing is I remember him being in this movie more than he is. I think he's literally in 3 scenes.
Yeah, he doesn't do much. The thing is, he's absolutely believable as the cool professor who doesn't believe in what he's doing and sleeps with his students. Gets them high. Yeah, that's a problematic sequence right there.
See, I only knew about that in high school.
Oh, dear.
Well, that's a whole other podcast, isn't it? I don't think he's with us anymore anyway.
We got to get to the big one.
Yeah, the guy who's ostensibly the star of the movie.
Despite the fact he has maybe 20 words of dialogue.
Yeah.
If that.
He actually gets more expressed through his eyebrows than through his delivery of
John
words.
Belushi.
Yeah, in his most Belushi-ness.
Yeah, this was his breakout role for movies. This was the thing that moved him from being a TV star, which he already was, to being a movie star. And what always gets me, I always remember a quote from an interview when they were interviewing the entire cast of the Not Ready for Primetime Players. They said, the main challenge in the beginning was getting Belushi to eat with his mouth. They always just, the wild man, messy, over the top, that was kind of him. That was actually an aspect of his personality.
Well, I didn't put this into the trivia, but John, of course, had some other issues with imbibing things. Yeah. And they apparently kept him sequestered, like he was not allowed to
He didn't party with the rest of them.
No, and it did apparently work, and he was generally, for him, fairly calm on this shoot. And I gotta say, his physical comedy is really right up there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's like his body movements, he's a lot more adroit than he gives the appearance he's going to be.
He always was very surprisingly agile and coordinated. And his face is so mobile and so expressive, especially the eyebrows, but all of it.
Yeah.
Stuff he can do with his eyes, even just when he's yelling, Toga, Toga.
Yeah. That being said, he is, the quote I have is, must be tough being a 35-year-old freshman.
Yeah, we're supposed to, he has been in college for 7 years.
Yeah, but that would make him 25.
Yeah.
He's well over
older than
25.
that, yes. Most of the people in this movie are not believable as college students.
No, there is this interesting thing, though. If you ever go back and look at, like, high school yearbooks and college yearbooks from back, like, the 50s, 40s, stuff like that, people aged a lot differently than they do now. Like, you could sit there and look at a high school yearbook from, like, 1935, 1940, and swear these people were heading towards retirement.
I don't know. I don't know if it was the haircuts or the wardrobe.
And the suits, yeah.
Yeah,
the
they wore a lot of
suits.
suits.
A lot of
yeah.
suits.
The only one who looks like he could be a college student is Kevin Bacon, because he looks like he's about 11.
I'd say Tom Hulse, too.
Tom Hulse, all right,
Yeah. So, and it's funny because he is the star. It's John Belushi starring in National
his
Lampoon,
movie.
The Animal House,
Yeah.
and the film's not about him.
No.
Really at all. In fact, if there's a possibility of having either a flat character arc or a negative character arc, that is Bluto Blutarski. Because we know nothing about him, and he literally does not change until the very, very end credits.
It'd be hard to say who the protagonist is. I mean, I guess Pinto or Flounder.
I'm going to go with Delta House.
Yeah, the house. I think it's the fraternity
house.
as a whole, the actual building. Yeah.
Yeah. Which it turns out was a rundown house that was literally about to be demolished on campus grounds. But yeah. So an interesting cast with a couple of standouts, most notably, I would say, John Belushi.
Yeah.
And not really anybody else. Not that anybody was bad.
No, but he's the one who really. Although I have to say, I really like D-Day. I liked the scenes between him and Belushi when they're both causing havoc. They play off each other really well. And Bruce McGill, who went on to play a lot of bad guys.
Yeah, I can see that.
He played the bad guy in Time Cop with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yep. Yeah.
Ooh, aim high.
Yeah. But he tends to play a lot of heavies, and as he got older, because he looks fairly menacing in this, and he gets more so as he gets older.
He actually half the time to me looks like Freddie Mercury, so I don't know
Really?
how. Yeah, he's got the
Okay.
mustache and everything, and it's like, I don't know how threatening he was, but sure.
I thought he was fun, but it's true. Belushi's really the standout. The others are good, but it's much more of an ensemble.
Yes.
They're much more of a team, and in some ways more interchangeable.
I mean, the haircuts aren't helping.
Yeah.
It's nice when some people have light hair and some people have dark hair. And most of the Omega people have light hair, and most of the Delta people have dark hair. I don't know if that was an actual on-purpose thing or not. But
Yeah, thank goodness that, like, Tim Matheson as Otter wears such distinctive clothes, because he's easier to pick out, because he's always wearing those wild plaids or crazy golf pants. Tim Matheson, by the way, I know these days more as playing the vice president on The West Wing.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Dang. Well, it's been a long time,
It
so
has.
good for him. But yeah, so the acting's decent. It is. Before we get too much into the film, it is an ensemble. Nobody's meant to be, I guess, the star, which is an interesting choice. I'm not sure if that works, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
First up, though, the hair. Oh my God! Co-starring the hair.
70s haircuts.
60s.
60? Oh, that's right. They're supposed to be
1962.
60s. They apparently Landis didn't like the hairstylist, so he took the whole cast just to this barber.
The male cast.
The male cast, excuse me, to this barber in town, and showed him pictures. Can you make him look like this? And the guy goes, yeah, and one after another.
Yeah.
He cut their hair, and I'd say he nailed it.
Yeah, it looks very 60s.
It looks
it
so
was
60s.
mostly the women's hair.
Yes.
Oh, can I take your helmet? Oh,
It's
that's
as high as an elephant's eye.
the amount of lacquer. I don't mean the hairspray.
No,
in
that's
lacquer.
hair that could stop high caliber bullets.
If I remember correctly, this is a weird aside, but it is connected.
Yeah?
Barry Williams, who played Greg Brady,
Yeah.
once guest starred on That Girl with Marlo Thomas.
Oh, okay.
And his comment was, her hair was so solid you could bounce quarters off it.
I believe that. Her
And
hair looked like a single piece.
Yeah, and that's what this hair looks like. We have a college town, which literally could be anywhere in
Literally.
the north.
Yeah.
It's obviously not the south, because
No.
it's got that fall, moist, cold.
A lot of people wearing coats.
And there's actually a couple of times when I'm like, they didn't shoot any of this in Cambridge. No, it's all in wherever
For
I
some
said it
reason,
was.
it's the mayor is pretty clearly supposed to be a mobster.
Yeah, I think he's actually even supposed to be like, this is a weak Godfather reference, because we would have had Godfather 2 when? 75?
Something like that.
Yeah, so this is within, so yeah, I'm sure that, and the whole horse thing could also be in some way connected vaguely to that, because there's a horse in this, and it's not Bumpy.
If only, because the horse dies.
You're so mean. He's our mascot.
Give me a chainsaw.
He does so many nice things for us, like poops.
Yes. Find me something else.
There's lots of traditional college antics going on here. We have things like
Drinking
and
more drinking.
drinking. Yes, there is some. And there's also
Drinking.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about the drinking.
Yeah. Food fights,
now,
which I don't ever remember seeing in actual college. But
Well, me neither. But of course, my college experiences are rather, shall we say, thin in comparison. I also didn't go away, which makes a big difference.
also, as the scene when Bluto is peeping into one of the girls' dorms, yeah, that's a creepy ass scene. I'm sorry. It's like this is basically what men think women do in college, which is have naked pillow fights.
Well, and one of my notes is: do women ever really have pillow fights? Is that a thing?
In their underwear?
Yeah, giggle. Okay, I
No, that's what men want to think they do.
I would love to hear from any of our women listeners. Have you ever been involved in a naked or half-naked pillow fight, and was this a regular thing? Because every time I've seen it in a movie, it feels like, we're gonna make them have a pillow fight. It's just weird. And I do have it's not really a question for the series, but I do have a question. When is a movie sexist, and when is it just depicting the feeling of the time in which it takes place? Because
this is where we get to this. There's a lot of very problematic elements in this movie.
Yeah, and the sex. Let's face it. There's not a single woman character in here that's really treated with what's that word? Oh yes, respect.
Yeah, find out what it means to me. No, it's true. Most of them, except for Katie, Karen Allen,
right?
They're all basically there as sexual targets.
Right.
Either that or just the sort of classic mean girl, bitchy sort, like Babs.
Right. Or they eventually flash their yummies to late night talk show hosts.
Drew Barrymore isn't in this.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's even the bit where a girl dressed as a Playboy bunny flies through this window onto this little kid's bed. He's reading a Playboy. He looks over at her, looks up at the ceiling, and goes, "Thank you, God."
Yeah, I didn't put this in the trivia. He eventually became a priest.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently when he did, there was an article and there was a headline saying, "Still thanking God." Yeah, so... I want to say, is there any woman in this film that we don't see in their underwear at some point? And I don't think there is.
The lunch lady.
Oh, you're right. Oh, and the lady at the counter where she gives him the marbles.
Yep, and Dean Wormer's secretary. I think that's it.
But even including Dean Wormer's
his wife, who we see
Stifler's mom,
so basically in some pretty serious lingerie.
Very serious lingerie.
No, that's true. Everyone else, all the other women are usually half naked at some point.
And I have to say, I think there are moments when you can depict sexism to show that, yes, this is the way things were done in this era. Do you get the feeling that this film is doing that?
No, it's titillation. It's purely for entertainment. They think and it's funny at the time. It was funny in 1970, whatever.
Well, why was it funny?
Because we were teenagers and women in their underwear, made us feel funny, and we arrested us laughing at it.
Yeah. I think in a way it's really more indicative of what was wrong with the depiction of women at the time than it was any kind of...
It's also easier to forgive if the women have more interesting things to do.
Which they don't.
None of them do. None of them. They don't get to do any of the hijinks. They don't get to break anything, or they are, most of them, except for Dean Wormer's wife, a little bit. Most of them aren't funny.
No.
Although I do have to say, the young woman that this is the boy who molested me last night.
Yeah.
Who turns out to be the mayor's daughter. That's right. Her name, by the way, which we are never told in the movie, is Clorette.
Clorette?
Clorette.
That means it's the female version of the male name Cloris?
It means that she has a glistening drop of retsin. I don't know. But she actually, when Pinto has like wheeled her back home in the shopping cart, and her father comes out, and she does this this smirk and a wave. Her physical comedy in that is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, but we have a problem with Clorette.
Yeah, Clorette. Oh boy. Yes, that's a gag. Is that as she and Pinto are stretched out in a sleeping bag, about to
on the 50-yard line.
On the 50-yard line, about to have sex, and she tells him, "I lied to you. I'm only 13." It's like, oh, so he's about to commit statutory rape. Comedy.
Yeah.
That is a part that really has not aged well.
That's one way of putting it.
Especially because the next time we see her, the way she has her hair and she's wearing the coat she's wearing, she looks like she's a child. She looks like she's 13. The actress was 19.
Oh, phew. Because at one point, being a female character in this film, we see her half naked.
Yes.
And so that doesn't make us feel. It's like when we found out that who's your girlfriend?
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. We get to see her bare ass, and she's 17.
Yeah, awkward.
Yeah. So okay. So basically, for my money, this movie is fairly sexist.
Oh, we now come to this is a sequence that is very funny, but also very problematic now, and that is when they go on the road trip.
Wait, I don't know what you're talking about, Max. Where are you going with this?
You know,
drive me home, big boy.
Don't ever say that again. At least not to me.
Yeah.
They go four of them go on a road trip, and they go to the, I guess, nearby women's college, Emily Dickinson College. It's a great name for an all-women's college.
Sure.
And Otter, the sex maniac, is basically going to fake his way into a date with a woman it's clear he doesn't know.
Right.
And then discovers she's died and uses that to manipulate another girl, not only to going out with him, but to find 3 dates for his friends.
Well, here's the thing, and I didn't notice this at first. At one point, they're driving, and he's like, we're going to go and get this girl. Here's her name, and he pulls out a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I think the piece of paper is the news article. I think he knew she was dead and was using that on purpose to get the date with the roommate.
Oh, okay. I hadn't thought of that because I didn't give Otter that much credit for being able to improvise.
Well, here's the thing. Where else would he get the name? On a piece of paper.
Wondering.
So I think that's to make us really like this character.
Oh, wow. That's really loathsome.
Yes. Well, that's
God,
okay.
that's even worse.
Because besides being a using type of person and playing on people's sympathies to get sex, at least the film then turns racist. Oops.
Yeah. First of all, well, admittedly, this is a northern college in 1962. It's not exactly a shock that we see no black students.
Right. Not, again, that's any kind of excuse.
No, but it's simply historical fact. Then they go to a nightclub where Otis Day and the Knights, who they've hired for to play at their fraternity, is playing, and it turns out to be an all-black club, which was very much a thing still into the 60s. And that is a really uncomfortable sequence, except most of the characters in there, they aren't stereotypes. They're all just looking like, what are you doing here? We don't want you here. You don't belong here. Except for the, do you mind if we dance with your dates?
Yes, which is a
little
quote.
awkward. And what happens? The guys abandon these women in what, let's face it, is a fairly hostile environment and run away. Now we see them walking home.
Yes.
And so we know nothing happened, except maybe they had a nice dance.
Because they're giggling about something. Well, we know they're giggling about the fact that Otter and the other woman, whose name I don't remember, although thankfully we don't see her exactly half naked, just getting there, had sex in the car out in the parking lot.
Or we're in the process of.
Right.
Yeah, that is a really, again, some of it's really funny. Yeah, I still like, if I were you, I would be leaving. What a good idea.
Yes, that is one of my quotes. The thing that I like, though, is when they're doing the scene with Shout, with Otis Day and the Knights, and it's like everyone's having a good time. Of course, that's at Delta House.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's this whole weird... I mean, the film itself ends up being racist, but it's not even a comment on the racism of the time. It's just, let's bring some black people into the film.
Although it does, if you want to argue for commentary, it is showing the tension and the fact that these guys are just clueless. That they don't know what's going on. They don't realize initially. Once they walk in and they realize they're the only white people, I mean, which Pinto says out loud, we're the only white people here. And the looks of terror on their faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you realize, then it's a kind of at least a nod in the very general direction of the racial tension of the time.
Yeah. So,
but again, this is a comedy. So
yeah, but it's not really funny to say all black people are dangerous and you should be nervous around them. So, and that whole black club scene is rather racist, but that's okay because at least the rest of the movie is just sexist.
Yeah. Well, there's no other races in it, except in the very beginning when they go to Omega House and they immediately peg Lawrence and whatever Flounder's real name is. Let's face it, his name's Flounder.
Yeah.
As people they don't want. They stick him in a corner with an Indian guy, a Muslim, another sort of nerdy-looking guy, and a blind man in a wheelchair.
Yeah, that's funny. So let's insult all these other cultures at the same
These guys, in fact, get no lines either.
Well, yeah. So there are parts of this film that are, shall we say, problematic.
Yeah. You notice the mayor had a lawn jockey?
I didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, a black lawn jockey. Yep.
Yeah, because that's a thing. I never even understood that. I mean, I understand it being a racist symbol, but why would you even need one of those out on your lawn? Like,
It's supposed to represent the servant you would have holding your horse. I don't know why he was a jockey.
I was like, whoever had a servant that just held the number of the house up on the lawn?
No, because the classic lawn jockey is holding a brass ring in his hand, which they would tie the reins to. I don't know why they were dressed as jockeys, because I don't think you would have a jockey doing that.
No.
But anyway.
Whatever.
Any of you know, tell us.
Yeah, by all means, write us in and tell us all about the thing. The humor is fairly consistent throughout. They lean a lot on the physical comedy of John Belushi.
Yep, but there's a lot of funny dialogue.
There is a lot of funny dialogue. There are some quotes, which we'll get to.
Yep.
There are a couple of weird diversions, detours out of the main comedy. One of them we mentioned earlier was the Angel Devil thing, where they actually have Tom Hulce dressed up in Angel and Devil gear on each of his own shoulders.
Yeah, special effected in.
Yeah, which was weird.
Because almost none, there's only one other moment.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, that's sort of cartoony like that. It comes out of nowhere, and it's a little jarring.
That one I didn't find nearly as jarring because there had been a lot of drinking, and it's like, okay, this is like some
hallucination.
Sort of, okay. But then at the end of the film, there's a scene where all hell is breaking loose on the parade, the homecoming parade in town, and at one point, Kevin Bacon's character,
who is screaming, "Remain calm, all is well," which he does really well.
He does very well, and he gets overrun by the crowd.
He gets trampled,
and then we cut away, and then we cut back to him in total Wile E. Coyote fashion. His entire body is flat, but his head is still Kevin Bacon.
His face is still three-dimensional, but he's been flat. He looks like something out of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, right, exactly like that.
And that's just weird because it doesn't fit any of the rest. A lot of the other violence or action is kind of cartoonish in that Belushi falls backwards on a ladder 20 feet and then he's fine, or he can smash beer bottles on his head without even breaking the skin.
Well, Max, those are breakaway glass. That's how that
Yes. Yes, I understand.
Sometimes we have to tell Max things because he doesn't know things.
I had yellow today.
And the funny part is that this is right around the time when beer cans might have been steel or they might have been aluminum. We're still so that could have been more impressive then. Now it's like it's an aluminum can. Who cares?
Or even when the sequence in the cafeteria where Belushi is stuffing entire hamburgers into his mouth. This isn't special effects. He was doing it.
Yeah.
It's really, but you're looking at the amount of food he's eating. It's physically impossible for him to eat that much. That's cartoony. But it's not over the top. It's
No.
not animated. It doesn't look like Warner Brothers. But those two scenes, and I agree with you. I think the one with Kevin Bacon is more out of nowhere. They're kind of strange, and it does throw things off a little. The other thing that kind of throws things off is mostly this movie, everything is lighthearted and goofy. And then you have the relationship between Boone and Katie.
Right.
Where he... first off, to the whole thing, I don't know why she puts up with him.
Me either.
And I do like in the final bits where we get the little blurbs of what happened to them, how Boone and Katie married 1964, divorced 1969. It was like, I believe that.
The one thing I wanted to look up and I didn't get a chance was, is this the first movie to do that?
I don't
Give
know.
us like the futures of the characters in it, because it's the first one I remember seeing it, and it's
That's the
become a
first
thing
I remember,
since.
but I don't know.
It's like added, like last little bits of comedy. Here's what happens to the characters,
Yeah.
and the most unbelievable one, of course, is that John Blutarski becomes a senator.
Yes, senator.
Wait. Nope, that's not unbelievable at all.
No, it isn't. Yeah, that bit. That's another weird part. At the end, when basically the whole thing is turned into a Marx Brothers routine, where they're just trashing the town, trashing the parade. Bluto swings down, grabs Mandy, who up until that point has not even spoken to him in the movie.
Are they even in the same scene except for the courtroom?
They're in the same scene at the cafeteria table. She's sitting
right,
next
that's
to Otter. He tosses her in the car. He straight up kidnaps her. And then we see them driving away, and she's like nestled against him. He's got his arm around her, and we see the caption, Senator and Mrs. Blutarski. And of all of them, it's like, what?
Yeah.
That's, never mind so problematic, manhandling this woman on,
Right.
but it doesn't make any sense. I mean, I like the others, where Pinto ends up as the editor of National Lampoon.
Right.
And Flounder ends up as a sensitivity counselor.
My favorite though is D-Day whereabouts unknown.
Unknown.
I actually don't have a problem with them saying he became a senator, because a lot of times you hear that people in politics had rather interesting.
Oh, please. President W, he was pretty much, he might as well have gone to Delta.
Well, he was Skull and Bones, wasn't he?
No, that was Daddy. That was HW. He was Skull and Bones. No, W was, drove his car into a tree drunk and had all sorts of fraternity.
Yeah, but what did he do before he was president?
That was, oops.
He's not listening, I'm sure. I actually do have a question for you, about fraternity life. I did not have an opportunity, because the 2 times I went to school, there was no such thing. Did you ever have an opportunity? Were there frat houses at your college?
There were not.
Okay.
I had never had them. They had a couple of like language houses, like if you wanted to do Spanish immersion, you could live in Spanish house.
Language house.
It wasn't quite the same thing. Yeah.
Doesn't sound quite as raucous and raunchy.
No, not really.
Tonight at Spanish table, we will eat Spanish.
That was one of the things I actually, when I was applying to college, I went to Yale to look at Yale. I did not get in.
Speaking of Skull and Bones.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I found kind of off-putting. It's like, okay, here's fraternity row. Oh, wow. And then here are the secret societies, like Skull and Bones and the Wolf House.
They told you about the secret society?
They not only told us about them, they pointed at them, saying, that's Skull and Bones. It's like, aren't you not supposed to know about this?
Isn't that what the word
I
secret
don't know.
means?
Now, it's true. When I was out in Minnesota, there were fraternity houses there.
That's when you were in grad school?
Yeah, but I mean, you're a grad student. You don't go into you can't join a fraternity.
Okay.
And I got to admit, a couple of them, they were never quite on the level of Delta House, but some of them, you'd walk by and you hear incredibly loud music, and you'd see empty kegs on the front lawn.
Okay.
But not to this degree.
So the college you ended up going to didn't have fraternities.
Yeah.
Was there ever any attraction for you in wanting to join one?
No, I didn't.
Did this movie make you want to join a fraternity?
Honestly, watching that movie was like, I'd never get any sleep.
Yeah.
They don't sleep. They don't study. I don't understand how they're there. I mean, we see that the way they get through exams is they cheat.
Right.
No, the fraternity life never appealed to me, especially when you find out about all the hazing and the initiation rituals.
Well, now, Max, it's not like people die. Oh, yeah, that's right there.
No.
I'm sorry, what are the benefits of this again? Oh, right, connections.
Connections, and sometimes you get a nicer room than you do in a dorm.
Okay.
I think that I beyond that you got me.
Huh. Well, and I wonder now, because this film, as a comedy, a lot of times they try to make whatever they're depicting either really attractive or really unattractive. They're trying to lampoon it, which, might be something to do with the title.
Yeah.
In this case, it kind of doesn't do either. Because on the one hand, it's like, well, if I wanted to be in a house, I'd want to be in Delta.
Yeah.
But except you'd get thrown out of school and nothing would get accomplished. But you don't want to be in a mega house because we literally
They're
don't see
horrible
them
people.
we don't see them do anything except
They sit out
hate
front
Delta.
and be mean.
Yeah, and they work with Wormer. Who wants to work with somebody named Wormer?
Yeah.
The Frank Burns of college. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird. Are they or aren't they? But one of the reasons though that we picked this film, or no, I'm sorry, I picked this film.
You picked this film. Yep.
Is there's been a couple of quotes over the years that you and I have used.
One or two.
But we might have more than the usuals.
Yeah.
Now, generally, I was going to say you have gone first.
Yep. Why don't you go first?
All right, I will pick. I don't have that many, but I'm going to bet that we have many of the same ones. One of them is not really a quote because it's written and it's early in the film.
That is a quote. It's just a written quotation.
It's on the statue of the founder of
Emil Faber.
Emil Faber. Knowledge is good.
I got that one. I like that.
I anticipate a deeply religious experience.
Yep.
Eric Stratton, Rush Chairman, damn glad to meet you, which we have been using in some form or another forever.
But I also like the follow-up. That was Eric Stratton, and Rush Chairman, he was damn glad to meet you.
Then, as of this moment, they're on double secret probation. Which I think a lot of people, that's when I think that has actually transcended the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's shown up places here and there and people don't know where it's from.
Yeah.
The time has come for someone to put his foot down, and that foot is me.
Yep, I got that one.
This one, just, thank you, sir, may I have another?
Oh, yep.
This one I didn't remember. I'm not joking. This is my job. Poor English teacher.
That. Yep.
Oh boy, is this great! Which I didn't realize
Several times.
I was going to say is at least
It's
twice.
a callback.
All right, together.
Yep.
Toga, toga, toga.
Yep.
That minx, what a lively sense of humor. Do you mind if we dance with your dates? Mm-hmm. If I was in your shoes, I'd be leaving. What a good idea. My advice to you is to drink heavily.
Listen to him. He's pre-med.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son. Christ, 7 years of college down the drain. What the hell are we supposed to do, you moron?
Stork's only line.
May I have 10,000 marbles, please?
Of course.
And ramming speed. Those are my quotes.
Yep. I had almost all of those same ones. I also like, you guys playing cards? Ooh, 90% rayon. Nice. I think I'm in love with a retard. Is he bigger than me? I state your name, which we already see in Blazing Saddles.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I still like, Mrs. Milton. Are you talking about John Milton? Mrs. Milton found him boring too. Or when they're smoking weed. I won't go schizo, will I? There's a distinct possibility.
I love, all right, just real quick, because we've seen a number of movie depictions of marijuana.
Yeah.
And I love how when people who depict marijuana who have obviously never tried it, what they think it's going to do.
Yeah.
And the idea, it's going to make me schizo. You're either going to laugh or you're probably just going to sort of mellow out.
But let's face it, Pinto's reaction to being stoned is one of the classics. You're saying our whole solar system could be like a single atom in the fingernail? Oh God.
I would know the color blue to you is the color blue to me.
Yeah, check the crayon box, okay, grasshopper?
Okay, sorry, other quotes you had.
I still like, I gave my love a cherry. Smash! Ludo takes the guitar, breaks it against the wall. This, by the way, they do a callback to that in Star Trek The Next Generation.
Do they?
In the Robin Hood, the rather dopey Q episode.
I am not a merry man.
Yeah, but at one point, Geordi's playing a lute. Worf takes it, smashes it against a tree, hands it back to him, and says, "Sorry." I like, compose yourself, Otter. We got to get out of here. I already mentioned you effed up. You trusted us. I had that one. I do like when Dean Wormer is reading the grades. Mr. Blutarsky, 0 0.0. At least one time when I saw that movie, the whole audience said that line along with him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I've got all the same you have for a lot of them.
So now here's the thing. We've pulled a bunch of quotes out of here, but is this a quotable movie?
I think so. I mean, it's funny, I don't think there are as many as there are in, say, The Princess Bride or a couple of the others we've done, because a lot of them are due to context.
Right.
Even the "May I have 10,000 marbles, please" just doesn't make any sense.
And yet we've been quoting it
we do. We still quote it. But since when have we ever been concerned with making sense?
No.
But I think there are some. I mean, come on, Toga, and like you mentioned, double secret probation, and do you mind if we dance with your dates? I think it's fairly quotable. I wouldn't put it up at the top.
I'm going to go with kinda. I think there's a few lines you can pull out and enjoy, but I don't think this is one of those well-written, people are going to be saying these things for generations to come kind of quotable movies. Certainly not like Casablanca or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that part of the reason that or maybe even the main reason that we have been quoting some of these lines for the last 45 years is because we saw the film more or less when it came out, and so we remember it, and it was
etched
fun.
itself into our young, impressionable brains.
Yeah, so I would say this is one of the weaker quotable films of this series that we've done so far. That's my assessment of it. But I am just about out of notes, and we're just about out of time, so should we get to that other part?
Let us do the other thing.
The finish.
So Max.
Yes. I'm not even trying anymore.
Well, and here's the thing. I can't wait for somebody to go, could you please stop saying "so Max" at the end of your... Nobody has.
Not yet.
So, Max.
Yeah?
What you saw this...
I did.
When you were, I don't know,
I was
15,
a teenager,
16, something like
17,
that.
I don't know, yeah.
Have you seen it many times since then?
I've seen it a few times, 2 or 3 times. It's maybe 3 or 4 times. Since.
Actually sat and watched it.
The whole thing. Oh, actually sat and watched the whole thing maybe twice more.
Okay. Including one time that we watched it for this.
Yeah.
What did you think then?
Back then, I really enjoyed it. When I was young, I thought it was hilarious. I mean, I hadn't seen stuff like this. This was my first exposure to National Lampoon. I didn't know who they were. Once I saw this movie, I started going out and trying to get the albums and reading the books. And National Lampoon was hilarious and edgy and very hit or miss. But some of it really worked, and it also just stuns me how many people came out of it.
Please note Max said was.
Well, Christopher Guest came out of there, John Belushi, Bill Murray, all these people.
I forget, was there a big connection between the Harvard Lampoon and National Lampoon?
There was a kind of a connection. I think actually National Lampoon, I sometimes get this backwards, had to pay Harvard Lampoon to use the name.
That sounds
because
right.
Harvard came out with it first.
And Harvard never pays anybody for anything.
Yeah, so National Lampoon had to pay for it.
So, when you saw it, when it roughly somewhere around when it came out, you thought it was really
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really funny.
And then we sat and watched it today. What's your feeling about it today?
I still think it's pretty funny, but it also kind of is a little cringe-inducing, as the kids say, at some points, particularly with the way they deal with women and the way they deal with the race issues. Some of it just doesn't hold up. But some of it is still really funny. I think Belushi is still hilarious. I think the physical stuff is funny. I still enjoy what happens to Niedermeyer. I think the horse dying is a little on the edge, except it's so absurd.
Yeah.
Even to the way it's filmed.
Well, they just stop.
They literally freeze the footage.
And they make a heart
You hear
attack sound.
Yes.
Which is, I guess, what a horse sounds like when it has a heart attack. Bumpy, no!
Let's find out.
No. Get out of his oats.
So, yeah, I think it's problematic, but I think it holds up. What about you? When you saw it, what did you think when you saw it with your mom?
With my mom! This is not a film to see with your mom.
No, it really
because
isn't.
you're like, why did she let me see this? And she never once tried to, shoo me out of the theater or anything. I thought it was hugely funny. I was 13. I was almost perfect for this film,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Except for the not being straight part, which I didn't even know. And National Lampoon is the kind of thing that I'm sure that you, if you can, as a teenager, get a hold of before you're supposed to.
Probably,
right?
yeah.
You know, boobs. And I thought it was very funny, and I certainly remember a lot of parts. I know in high school, all of us had seen it, and we all quoted it in high school.
Oh, yeah.
The 10,000 Marbles, Please has been around since forever for us. I have not sat down and watched this film all the way through probably since sometimes in the 80s. So on videotape.
Yep.
I do not think it holds up. And
Oh,
here's
really?
why. The racist issues, the sexist issues are really kind of huge. It really this film is a guy film, right?
Oh,
Not a
very much
man
is.
film, a guy film. Remember, don't be a guy, be a man.
Yep. It's a bro film.
Yeah, and it is meant for the very people that it's depicting. White guys in college having a good time at other people's expense. That being said, too, especially once you get to the toga party, the film kind of slows down and drags.
Huh.
And the moments of humor become fewer and further between. A lot of them have to do with John Belushi, and he's not on screen at that point all that much.
Huh.
So I think it doesn't. I think it suffers from its age. I think it suffers from a very narrowness of world understanding and people understanding. And if this is not a film that you've heard of or that you've sought out, I'd say you're perfectly fine avoiding it. I'm not saying it's a bad film. I just think that there is enough stuff in this film that really probably shouldn't be lauded and continuously shown that avoiding it's just fine. I'm not saying you should actively avoid it, but I don't think it holds up that well. I think some of the quotes are fun, but they actually have more to do with the context that we use them in than actually always in the film.
Okay, that's fair.
But again, Belushi, there's not a lot of examples of him in film because, of course, he died too soon.
Yeah.
And this is this and Blues Brothers are certainly probably his best. I can't even.
I would think
anything
so.
like that.
I mean, Great Divide. Well, was that John Candy? Sorry. Neighbors, I think. He did a surprising number of movies. Not a lot, but more than you think.
Yeah,
But most of them did not work that well.
and he died very well. Of course, he's a member of Saturday Night Live. That's what happens when you make movies. You make a few good ones, and the rest stink.
Yeah.
And he died very early.
Yeah.
But so Max says, "Hey, no problem. Just keep in mind what you're looking at." And
Yeah, keep the context of the time and the time depicted and the type of movie it is, because yes, part of it I absolutely agree is inappropriate and very problematic, but
Yeah.
I think it still works.
But we still have this poll question thing to do.
We do.
And speaking of having lost somebody too soon, we would like to know who is the actor that you think that we lost way too soon? Someone who you felt just started to reach their stride when they passed on for one reason or another. And you can let us know by emailing us directly at us@maxmikemovies.com. And hey, while you're at it, why not give us a comment? Tell us something you liked about the show, like Adam Mark did a couple of weeks ago, letting us know that he thought we went a little too far with Dumb and Dumber, and that's fine. Or you can give us ideas for other shows we might do or movies that we might cover. And something we may be thinking about is we have a 5-year anniversary coming up, and we haven't
Yeah.
decided what we're going to do yet. So if you got any ideas,
Yeah.
you can go to our website, which is maxmikemovies.com, where we have all of our episodes. You can comment there like Vince from the Mighty North does.
Yeah, you betcha.
Watch out for those walrus tracks. Do walruses make tracks?
I'm sure they do.
Big ones, I guess. Yeah, you can go to our website, maxmikemovies.com, and see all our episodes, or listen to all our episodes. You can leave comments there, one way or the other. You can go to Facebook, where we are maxmikemovies.com. There's a pattern coming, and you can answer our poll question there or leave comments there of any kind of you'd like to. And then if you want to listen to podcasts like you're doing right now, you can go to the podcast app you already went to and find us there.
I don't know why we keep telling them
I
this.
don't either. But we're just about done. We've only got one quotable movie left.
Yep. Now I've noticed most of the movies we've done have been comedies.
Yeah.
So I think we should do a drama,
Okay.
or at least one that was originally supposed to be a drama.
Uh-oh.
Yes, this is a towering classic of our time.
Oh, God. We already did Towering Inferno. I was worried you were going to do that.
No,
It's
no,
like,
no. No, this is one which for some reason, baffling millions, has become a very quotable movie and a very popular one. And of course, it asks the question, so how's your sex life, Mark?
Oh, you're not.
Yes, we are going to watch The Room.
Can we watch it with riff tracks?
Yes, because that may be one of the only ways to watch it. I checked. I don't think it's available on streaming for some strange reason.
Oh, well, that's something anyway, but Max,
Yeah.
you're tearing me apart!
Hi, Mike.
This has been a co-production of The Voice of Max and The Movie Wrench.
And the Dean Wormer of our hearts, Max Eaton.